Press X to Love is a series examining how video games handle romance both mechanically and narratively. And that's it. There's no big preamble, let's just get to it. What's up? My name's Jabri, I am one half of At Your Own Risk, and this is how Mass Effect handles romance.
If you expect to get me in a tinfoil miniskirt and thigh-high boots, I want dinner first. Sir.
In the Mass Effect games, you play as Commander Shepard, the most skilled big dickinest Christ allegory figure in the entire Milky Way. As a Spectre, you are the galaxy's first and last line of defense, employing everything from diplomacy,
you big stupid jellyfish,
to public relations.
I've had enough of your snide insinuations.
And non-violent conflict resolution.
I've got nothing more to say to you. If you shoot me, my team...
I'm sure he's fine. We'll be focusing on the first game for now, so your romantic options in order of appearance are Kaid Nolenko, an entire loaf of Wonder Bread come to life, Ashley Williams, the sexiest human supremacist in the series until you meet Miranda in Mass Effect 2, and Liara T'Soni, who I have no jokes about because she's the best, and I love her. You know what you are, Liara, huh? Shepard. Tell her what she is.
the best.
You spend your... yeah, fuck. You spend your time after each mission just getting to know your romantic interest on a personal level, and to be honest, while Mass Effect is not among the most well-written RPGs I've ever played, I still find these conversations pretty interesting. Listening to Ashley talk about her family and religious beliefs, Kaidan explaining his biotic training, or Liara on Asari culture and her own parentage still managed to keep me engaged, despite me already having played this game about 100 times by now since receiving it as a child. My uncle bought it for me at Sears, of all places, and as I was staring lovingly at it through the glass, my older brother was in my ear trying to convince me to get Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 instead, and boy, was that one of the easiest choices I've ever made in my entire life. Anyway, regarding these conversations, they can take some turns, some interesting and some kind of baffling, especially in this day and age. I mean, just look at this. I want to talk about this right now. If you're playing a female Shepard and you decide to romance Liara, you get a "but we're both ladies" dialogue option, and I can't help but wonder why. Not because same-sex romance is something that needs to be justified, but the exact opposite. I mean, it's not like BioWare were strangers to the concept, what with games like Knights of the Old Republic and Jade Empire offering the exact same thing years before. I imagine this very option is the result of wanting to include more exposition about the Asari's relationship to gender as a whole, a topic which has conflicting reports. Let's say. If you ask Liara about the Asari, she says that they're monogendered and that terms like male and female have no real meaning for them. It's a wonder then why every single Asari you ever meet uses female pronouns for themselves or are referred to with female pronouns. If you check the codex, it contradicts Liara by referring to the Asari as an all-female race and expands on the maiden, matron, and matriarch stages of the Asari life cycle. Maiden, matron, and matriarch all being words that are specifically female gendered. I'm not suggesting that Liara is wrong about her own race, but rather that from the start of things, BioWare was never entirely sure about what they wanted the Asari to be. I'm not trying to shame them either. From what I hear, writing video games is incredibly difficult and there's a lot to keep track of. As a player, however, once you notice these inconsistencies, it becomes hard to unnotice them. After all that, Liara explains how the Asari can reproduce with any species of any gender, which is rad, actually. This ability has led to widespread rumors about Asari... guys, I swear to Miranda's ass that I can read my own script. Hold on, let me try again. This ability has led to widespread rumors about Asari promiscuity in general, but we'll touch on that a bit later. For now, there are two things to be gathered from this conversation. The first ties back into the mixed results of writing in the series, but is also born of one of my favorite dialogue options in the game. After Liara tells you that her father, if you want to use that term, was another Asari, Shepard can reply with, "You can do that?" That's right, you can ask if the Asari can mate with members of their own species, as if that's not how the majority of living things in the universe reproduce. Yes, this question makes Shepard sound like an idiot. Yes, Liara does gently call you out on how ridiculous a question it is. No, it somehow doesn't convince her to end things with you if you're pursuing her romantically, which, thank God. But then again, maybe it's just because Liara herself goes on to ask an equally ridiculous question. She explains that, generally speaking, the Asari prefer to reproduce with non-Asari, the belief being that fathers of different species help produce Asari offspring of greater genetic diversity and thus advance the race as a whole. This belief is so widespread that the phrase pure blood is a racial slur for Asari, like Liara, whose parents are both also Asari. Mass Effect 2 actually expands on this, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but for now, Liara's question. After explaining that, and in the midst of affirming her attraction to Shepard, Liara asks,
"Why do I feel so close to you? We have only known each other a short time. We are from 2 different species."
"We're from 2 different species," she says in shock. Pure shock, after explaining to Shepard that interspecies mating is so entrenched in Asari culture that there is a racial slur for Asari children with 2 Asari parents. Mass Effect, as I grow older, your flaws become all the more evident, whether it's your writing or your combat, wherein Shepard has all the mobility of a refrigerator that just grew human legs and is trying and failing to learn how to walk. Despite all this, I still love you. You know what you are, Mass Effect? Huh? You know what you are? Shepard, come back. Tell Mass Effect what it is.
The best.
Kaiden and Ashley, despite not being Liara, aka
The best.
also have things to say, so we might as well briefly go over their narrative beats too. You know how I called Kaiden Wonder Bread before? Yeah, that still applies. The lieutenant is as straight-laced and earnest as they come. Once a young boy who read romantic fiction about space travel and extraterrestrial life, he now serves humanity as a simple marine just trying to do good, trying to be as decent of a person as he can be, performing his duties not out of personal pride, but rather an obligation to the greater good and his fellow man, whether they be human or alien. Ashley, meanwhile, is in some ways similarly romantic, but more readily aggressive and challenging than Kaiden, and especially than Liara. Most distinctly, however, her motivation lies primarily in her family, specifically in redeeming her grandfather's legacy, her grandfather, General Williams, being known as the first human in history to ever surrender to an alien force. This stain on humanity's militaristic record within the grand scheme of the intergalactic community is one that plagued the Williams name, and thus Ashley's entire career. Once you learn of her background and family history, it puts pretty much everything she ever says and does into context. The same goes for Kaiden, and nothing exemplifies their respective passions more than their willingness to sacrifice themselves in one of the game's later missions. It's up to Shepard to choose who lives and who dies, and of course, if you're romancing either of them, it makes the decision that much more dramatic. Or easy, depending on the kind of person you are. I made myself replay Mass Effect to do research for this video, and even while going down the romantic route with Kaiden, I still sacrificed him. Sorry, buddy, you're a nice guy, you'll just be forever stuck in the dead friend zone, I guess. Speaking of the friend zone, if you happen to be romancing Liara and either Ashley or Kaiden at the same time, you'll eventually get confronted by both parties and forced to choose who you want to commit to. I personally love undermining the implicit unspoken expectation of monogamy, but to each their own. You can handle this in 2 ways. One, you just choose who you want to be with. Very simple. Or you can suggest a polyamorous relationship. Or, at the very least, a threesome. If you do suggest this, both Ashley and Kaiden walk away, and the player is left with Liara as their romantic interest. Non-monogamy is one of those things I wish games talked about and entertained more seriously. Whenever it does come up, it tends to look like this, the trick answer to an ultimatum presented to the player who might genuinely fancy multiple characters but isn't given the option to pursue a sincere non-monogamous relationship. It's a shame, really, but who knows, maybe in future videos we'll find games that actually do that. Near the end of the game, right before the final mission or so, your love interest will finally knock on your door, late one night, I guess. I mean, it's space, so it's always night. Whatever, you know what I mean. You guys finally do the deed. You do the do, you form the beast with 2 backs and you go about doing the 5-star frog splash. A part of me wants to keep listing off euphemisms for sex, but you get the point. This is the culmination of your romantic efforts throughout the entire game so far. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary friends, we finally did it. We got to the sex scene. Whoopee, Yes, I'm proud of us. I am. Pat yourselves on the back. People like to make fun of sex scenes in video games, and to be fair, they have a lot of good reasons to, but I think Mass Effects at least are rather well directed and tasteful. Fox News didn't like them, but fuck Fox News. We get some provocative shots here and there, but it's nothing pornographic. Hell, it's not even half as risque as some of the results you get when you type 3D into the search bar on Pornhub, and I would know, because I've done that a lot. Anyway, folks, that's it for this inaugural episode of Press X to Love. Oh my god, thank you for watching all the way through, or for like skipping ahead to the end for some reason. If you did that and just happening to land on this part of the video, that's fine. That's fine. Even if you did that, I appreciate you clicking in the first place. If you liked this in any way, do me a favor and hit that like button and consider subscribing because more content is on the way. As for the next episode of Press X to Love, I'm going to be talking about Mass Effect 2. Naturally. See you then.